Very good evening, aspirants. Welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy daily newspaper analysis. So today we have a set of important news articles from different newspapers, and one by one we'll try to discuss all these important topics in an in-depth and detailed manner. And in fact, this discussion will be helpful for your exam because these are some of the most important topics that we are going to discuss now. So the first topic with which we are going to start the session is about the Panchayati Raj institutions. And in fact, in your General Studies paper 2, Panchayati Raj institutions, particularly the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, is very important because number of times questions have been repeated and asked from this particular topic. And every year, like almost one question is asked from the Panchayati Raj institutions. So therefore, it is very important to understand and track the developments which are taking place within the Panchayati Raj institutions. Why Panchayati Raj institutions are very important in India? I need to give a brief introduction about this before going into the topic. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act has been passed by the Parliament to make sure that there is a grassroots level democracy, to make sure India has a grassroots level democracy, and it would also results in participatory governance and the democratic decentralization. So these are the objectives with which the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act has been passed. And in fact, the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act has also resulted in the creation of the Panchayati Raj institutions. At the grassroots level. And it has provided 33% of the reservation in seats in Panchayati Raj institutions to women. Thereby, it has been facilitating what? The women empowerment, particularly political empowerment of women at the grassroots level. And similarly, it has even provided representation to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes as well in proportion to their population in these grassroots level institutions. And similarly, for the implementation of government schemes, for example, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So implementation of such schemes or identification of beneficiaries for schemes like the public distribution system and a Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Gramin, implementation of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and achieving the goal of open defecation free India. So in all these number of areas, so Panchayati Raj institutions have a huge role to play. So I can say that the Panchayati Raj institutions play a very important role in achieving the sustainable development goals by the year 2030. Remember that United Nations adopted the sustainable development goals in the year 2015, and it is also expected that the 17 sustainable development goals will be achieved by the year 2030. And what are the sustainable development goals? So sustainable development goals essentially consist of no poverty, zero hunger, healthcare, education, gender equality. So all these areas are part of the sustainable development goals. How many sustainable development goals we have? 17 sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals and 169 targets. So don't you think that in achieving all these sustainable development goals, the grassroots level institutions Panchayati Raj institutions will play a very, very important role. Now, in this backdrop, as I have already told you why Panchayati Raj institutions are very important, recently a baseline report called the Panchayat Advancement Index. This Panchayat Advancement Index is released by whom? Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Remember, this can be a prelims question for you. Who releases Panchayat Advancement Index? So it is released by the Ministry of Panchayati Raj institution. So Panchayati Raj, and in fact, the Panchayat Advancement Index is released in April 2025. And this Panchayat Advancement Index provides key data on around 2.16 lakh gram panchayats all across country, aligning the localization of the sustainable development goals. So how 17 sustainable development goals are localized across 2.16 lakh panchayats, and the data has been provided by Panchayat Advancement Index of 2022 and 23. And in fact, so this flagship index actually marks a paradigm shift in the micro level planning by making the grassroots data accessible, actionable, and also it is outcome linked as well, right? So this is the context. Now, what this Panchayat Advancement Index has been telling us, what data it has provided us, and what key insights it has provided us with respect to the governance at the grassroots level. So it has revealed certain data governance challenges. For example, already we have a national data sharing and accessibility policy of 2012. In fact, India already framed national data sharing and accessibility policy in the year 2012. And in fact, a vast amount of data is already available about different governance indicators. However, the problem here is that whatever data that we have already, we already have the data which is already available. It is not in user-friendly format. What does it mean when we say that it is not in user-friendly format? That means it is not available in all languages. So it is limited to a certain languages, and because of that reason, not everyone can read such a data. Not everyone can understand the data. So thereby it ultimately limits the overall utility of such data for the citizens, elected representatives, and researchers. Now here, such data is important for the researchers so that they can actually understand the policies, right? So they can also evaluate the progress of such policies which are framed at the grassroots level. And in fact, elected representatives should also understand such policies so that they can work for the betterment of the grassroots level institutions. And in fact, if citizens have access to data, so they can hold the administration responsible and the accountable also. However, the other major challenge is that the existing portals, they primarily cater to either the departmental heads or top bureaucrats. So there are portals are available, but most of these portals are catering to the departmental heads and top bureaucrats. So therefore, the existing portals have been ignoring the functional needs at the district level, block level, gram panchayat level, and ultimately they fail to deliver the micro picture. So this has been highlighting the need for the decentralization of data at the grassroots level. So that is very, very important, decentralization of data at the grassroots level, because as of now, at the district level, block level, and gram panchayat level, they don't have access to the data. So if they don't have access to the data, so we cannot expect the better performance. We cannot expect a better performance from these grassroots level institutions when it comes to providing the public services, implementing the government schemes and the programs. And similarly, there is also a poor data visualization and analytics which is also existing. And in fact, so the result, the poor data visualization and analytics has overall resulted in the policy making which is based on bureaucratic intuition rather than evidence, or completely undermining the localized planning and even the informed interventions which are required for the better implementation of the program, right? So there is no doubt that we have the data. We already have the data, but the problem here is that the poor data visualization, the poor data analysis. So because of the poor data analysis, if any specific policy is made on the development of the local governance, then it is being made based on the bureaucratic intuition rather than the evidence-based policy making. Remember that in administration, evidence-based, data-driven policy making is very, very important. Evidence-based and data-driven policy is very, very important. But here, what are the problems which are existing? So despite data, this is not accessible. This is not user friendly. Secondly, most of the public portals are made for catering the needs of departmental heads and bureaucrats, and they ignore the local level needs. And apart from that, there is a poor data visualization and analysis of the existing data also, that has ultimately resulted in the undermining localized planning and informed interventions which are required. Now, in this context, what is the importance or the significance of the Panchayat Advancement Index? Now, who releases Panchayat Advancement Index? So kindly comment this in the comment section. Right, so who releases the Panchayat Advancement Index? So what is the important significance of the Panchayat Advancement Index? And in fact, in compiling this Panchayat Advancement Index, so around 435 unique local indicators have been used. And out of 435 unique local indicators, 331 indicators are mandatory, plus 104 indicators are optional indicators. So together they have used 435 unique local indicators. And these indicators have been used across 9 localization of the Sustainable Development Goals theme. And in fact, it has been mapped to the National Indicator Framework. It has been mapped to the National Indicator Framework that has been developed by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So to assess Gram Panchayat level progress and development in a comprehensive manner. So it is very important that you need to take multiple indicators. So once we take in multiple indicators, so these indicators will give us some insights about the Gram Panchayat level development, right? So how the sustainable development goals are internalized and how they are implemented. And in fact, these indicators are actually mapped to the National Indicator Framework that has been developed by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Remember, this is a very, very important. Right, there might be a question that the National Indicator Framework has been developed by which of the following organizations or ministries. So such questions may be asked. Now in this context, so Sustainable Development Goals, as I have already told you, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets. And it is aimed at achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. And as we have understood, the Panchayati Raj institutions have a very important role to achieve all these 17 Sustainable Development Goals at the local level or at the grassroots level. And because of this particular reason, the Panchayat Advancement Index has been tracking the progress of various panchayats in achieving all these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? So you just have to remember this. So first one is no poverty, second zero hunger, third good health and well-being of individuals, fourth quality education, fifth gender equality, and clean drinking water, affordable energy, decent work and economic growth, industry infrastructure innovation, and 10 reduced inequalities, whether they are income inequalities, regional inequalities. and then 11 talks about the sustainable cities and consumption. So when we talk about the sustainable cities and consumption, for example, the plastic pollution. So plastic pollution is unsustainable in nature. So therefore, exploring the ways such as the biodegradable alternatives to the plastic pollution. So it is part of sustainable cities and the communities. Urban waste management, urban solid waste as well as liquid waste management, and promoting the public transportation system. So all these components are important components under the sustainable cities and communities. And 12 talks about responsible consumption and production. For example, reducing food waste, promoting consumption of pulses or millets. So these things are part of responsible consumption and production. So reduction in consumption of meat, because meat also contribute to the greenhouse gas emissions and in turn creates global warming. Right, so they are part of the responsible consumption and production. Climate action is also very important in the backdrop of increasing climate change and the global pledge to reduce the increasing temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial level. If possible, that should be limited to just 1.5 degree Celsius above the pre-industrial levels temperatures. Life underwater, life on land, peace and justice. So these are 17 sustainable development goals. So please remember them. And in fact, there is also a possibility of a matching type of a question being asked from the sustainable development goals, and therefore it is important for you to understand all these SDGs. And Panchayat Advancement Index primarily focuses on the progress that panchayats have been made in achieving the sustainable development goals at the grassroots level. I hope it is clear for you. And now this Panchayat Advancement Index has analyzed around 2.16 lakh gram panchayats. So it has made analysis on around 2.16 lakh gram panchayats, but it has excluded around 11,000 gram panchayats because some reasons such as a non-validation. So non-validation in the sense that, for example, Uttar Pradesh, so it has submitted data for only 40% of the gram panchayats. Right, so it has submitted data on only 40% of the gram panchayats. So therefore, raising overall concerns about the coverage and accountability mechanisms. And similarly, the Panchayat Advancement Index portal. So this enables the constituency wise reporting and also supports the interventions by the MPs, MLAs and the line department officials for the development of the grassroots level institutions and the achieving the respective sustainable development goals as well. Similarly, the Panchayat Advancement Index identified certain gaps in areas like healthcare and education. Right? If we talk about the healthcare in India, right? So don't you think that healthcare is part of the sustainable development goal number 3? Education is part of sustainable development goal number 4. But if you look at the education at the grassroots level, so there are a lot of problems in the sense that lack of basic infrastructure for the students, declining gross enrollment ratio, increasing dropout rates, lack of sanitation, hygiene, lack of security and safety, and even the student and teacher ratio is also another major problem, right? So there are a number of problems which are existing at the grassroots level. So therefore it has even identified a lot of gaps in domain areas like health and education as well. However, the Panchayat Advancement Index has also identified the transformative potential of the Panchayati Raj institutions, because the Panchayati Advancement Index linked data to measure outcomes. such as healthy panchayat indicators, etc. So thereby overall it has been encouraging accountability within the panchayats. So accountability is very important within the panchayats, so that panchayats truly work for the advancement or development of the people at the grassroots level. And stakeholder convergence is also very, very important. There might be multiple stakeholders who are involved in achieving the sustainable development goals at the grassroots level, and it also emphasizes on the stakeholder convergence, precise interventions to plug the developmental gaps which are existing as well. So what are the developmental gaps? So we have just talked about education and healthcare, right? So these are two areas where the gaps are existing. So therefore there is a need to plug the gaps. There is a need to bridge the gaps which are existing. So how can we bridge these gaps? So we can bridge these gaps by improving infrastructure. For example, healthcare infrastructure or infrastructure in schools. And we can focus on increasing the gross enrollment ratio in schools, right? So there are a number of programs that the government has already launched. So why don't we use all these programs? Why don't we converge the funding from all these different programs, so that it will ultimately benefit the education system in a holistic and comprehensive manner? And that's what it is talking about. And similarly, the role of academic and civic institutions. It also involved the academic and civic institutions while compiling the Panchayat Advancement Index as well, because it has involved around 4,000 Unnat Bharat Abhiyan institutions proposed for the overall capacity building at the grassroots level. And in fact, it has even used the Panchayat Advancement Index scores to educate the communities and also enable the corrective action that is required in each of these panchayats. And similarly, a deployment of trained data analysts at block level and district level is crucial and important for the periodic reporting of the progress that has been made on various fronts across different panchayats. And similarly, this is about the rural local self-governance institutions. But for urban areas, there is no such compilation of data on their progress in achieving the sustainable development goals. So therefore, in this context, there should be a similar index for urban local bodies as well. And those similar indexes are also needed to extend the evidence-based approach at the local level, both in rural areas and urban areas. So you can even go through the importance of the local self-governance institutions, which were established through the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. And in fact, they provide foundation for the democratic structure at the grassroots level through democratic decentralization. And they are considered as a training ground for local leadership, because it has provided 33% of the reservation for the women and reservations to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes based on the population proportion. And in fact, local people, they know about the problems and they can also suggest better solutions. So therefore, Gram Panchayats at the local level will work on the problems which are existing at the grassroots level, and they not just identify the problems, they also work to resolve those problems collectively as well. And here community engagement plays a very, very important role in the overall success of the Panchayati Raj institutions. But still, lack of awareness, lack of education and communication at the grassroots level still a problematic thing. So here number of areas that they can work on. For example, agriculture is one area, and self-help groups, education, healthcare. So these are the potential areas where panchayats can actually play a large role. So because we have already seen how panchayats were proactive during the COVID-19 pandemic, so that we cannot undermine the role that the Panchayati Raj institutions can actually play at different levels of the governance. And in fact, government can reach ordinary people through the grassroots level governance mechanisms, and it can also lessen the burden of state and central government as well through the decentralization of the governance architecture, decentralization of the governance architecture. So I hope you have understood about this. So who releases the Panchayat Advancement Index? So kindly write this in the comment section, right? Because we have already mentioned about that. So next very important topic is about the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. And this scheme was launched in the year 2005. It provides a legal guarantee. It provides a legal guarantee of 100 days of work, right? So a manual unskilled labor. It also provides 100 days legal guarantee of manual unskilled labor if anyone requests the work. So Manrega plays a very important role at the grassroots level because it ensures income security for the rural poor, and it results in the economic empowerment of women at the grassroots level because 1/3 of the beneficiaries of the Manrega program are women. So 1/3 of the beneficiaries of the Manrega program are women. So it also results in poverty alleviation at the grassroots level. It addresses rural distress. So for example, if there is a drought and failure of crops because of the drought, and it creates rural distress. Now providing 100 days legal guarantee of work will provide a waged employment to the rural workers or rural poor, so thereby ultimately addressing the rural distress as well. And it will also play a very important role in overall improving the living standards of the people at the grassroots level. Secondly, it also arrests the rural urban migration. Because of rural distress, what happens is that there is a phenomenon called rural urban migration. So ultimately, if we are providing 100 days of waged employment to the rural poor, it will possibly arrest the rural urban migration as well, because rural urban migration put a lot of stress in the existing urban infrastructure as well. So these are the potential benefits of the Manrega program. So as I have given you a brief introduction about the Manrega program, now we'll try to understand what does this article talks about. Now Manrega program has been revealing, so a detailed report on Manrega program has been submitted, and this report on Manrega program has revealed that there are actually delayed wages, right? So delayed wages within the Manrega program. Delayed wages in the sense that, for example, imagine that in a particular village around 100 employees are working and wages were not given to them on time. So wages are actually delayed. So despite a rise in overall registrations, a number of people are started registering for the Manrega program, but actual delivery of promised employment is under Manrega is declining. For example, imagine that there is a village called R, and in this particular village around 1,000 individuals have been registered for the Manrega program. So despite 1,000 individuals have been registered for the Manrega program, but only 500 members have got the employment. So there is a rise in registrations for the employment, but the actual delivery of promised employment is under Manrega has been declining, and therefore it has been exposing certain shortcomings, certain gaps in the implementation of the Manrega program, and this is what the report has been claiming. Now some details about the Manrega program have been given here, that it provides 100 days of wage employment assurance for the rural households, and it also provides the unemployment allowance if work is not provided. For example, within 15 days if work is not provided, even after making such a request, then it provides the unemployment allowance to those individuals. And in fact, a fixed timeline for payment of wages and compensation would be given in case of delayed payments, and it ensures transparency, accountability, and wages would be directly credited into the bank account or post office savings account to eliminate the middlemen, eliminate corruption chances within the Manrega program. Now, what are the major issues that have been identified within the Manrega program? So let's try to identify the major issues which are existing in the Manrega program. So firstly, there is a significant decline in the person days generated under Manrega, right? So person days generated under Manrega is significantly declining. For example, there are some states like Odisha, so it has registered minus 34.8%, and Tamil Nadu 25.1%, and Rajasthan reported minus 15.9%. So there is a significant decline in the person work days, right? So number of work days that the state is actually providing for the people. But on the other hand, there are some other states like Maharashtra, Bihar, so they have registered an increase in the number of work days. So therefore, this has been indicating overall there is existing regional disparity in employment generation, right? For example, there are some states which are not able to create adequate employment, but on the other hand, there are some more states which are able to create adequate employment generation under the Manrega program. So therefore, it has been indicating there are regional disparities which are existing in the employment generation, and it continues to be a major issue in the Manrega program. And similarly, funding is required, right? So if a state is providing adequate employment opportunities for whoever registered from that particular state in rural areas, the state should be in a position to provide them the employment opportunities. In order to provide the employment opportunities under the Manrega program, there is a need for adequate funding also, because an individual is worked under Manrega, but he is not getting funds, he is not getting wages under the Manrega, so that creates a problem. But here the problem is that there is an inadequate budgetary allocation for the Manrega program, so that has been impacting the overall efficiency and effectiveness of Manrega program, because the policy advocates recommended 2.64 lakh crore in 22-23 financial year, but allocation for the financial year 24-25 was just 86,000 crore. Now imagine that actually the recommended amount is 2.64 lakh for the Manrega program, but only 86,000 has been allocated under 2024 and 25 budget. So imagine that how less this amount is actually, right? So apart from that, there is also a mismatch which is existing, and that mismatch severely limits the job provision under the Manrega program. Because see, the mismatch you can clearly see here. The recommended amount, the required amount is 2.64 lakh crore, but under budgetary allocation, the amount provided was just 86,000 crore. So therefore, there is a mismatch that has been existing, and this mismatch severely impacted the job provision. And similarly, there is also delayed wage payment. So wages were not paid to the beneficiaries on time. So there is a huge delay in the payment of wages to the workers, and ultimately it has resulted in demotivating the workers. Whoever coming and working under the Manrega, they are getting demotivated because wages are not paid to them on time as it has actually promised under the Manrega Act. And similarly, when wages are not paid to the workers on time, so it ultimately impacts the trust in the system, and it also discourages the overall participation of people under the Manrega scheme. So we have understood that it has providing a lot of benefits for the rural poor, and when you are not paying wages on time, so what are the benefits that people have been deriving from the Manrega will not actually be provided to them. And in fact, payment delays also violate the Manrega Act itself, which actually mandate that the wage payment must be paid to the workers within the 15 days. But there are delays more than 15 days, more than 1 month also. And recently there is a phenomenon that the job cards are deleted increasingly. Between 2020 to 24, around 7.8 crore job cards were deleted, but only 1.92 crore of job cards have been added. So this has been indicating that the government has been excluding the eligible beneficiaries, because around 7.8 lakh job cards have been deleted and only 1.92 crore job cards were added. And in fact, the financial year 24-25 actually shows some improvement, because 99 lakh deletions but 2.22 crore additions in job cards, right? So however, if we talk about some important details with respect to the Manrega program, so this is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme that has been passed by the parliament, and it is one of the most significant welfare program in India. So this legislation has been passed in the year 2005. And in fact, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, so it guarantees 100 days of wage employment per year to every rural household whose adult members are willing to do the unskilled manual worker or work. And in fact, so Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme is a demand-driven wage employment scheme. So it is implemented in every village based on the demand from the people. And in fact, under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005, the beneficiaries are requires that a priority must be given to women. So as I have already told you that the 1/3 of the beneficiaries under the Manrega scheme are women, so that it will result in women empowerment, particularly the economic empowerment of women, putting money in the hands of women through the Manrega program. And similarly, when we talk about the funding for the Manrega program, the central government actually provides 100% funding for wages for the unskilled manual work, and it covers 75% of the material cost as well, right? So material cost. So what does material cost actually mean? For example, 1 crore worth of Manrega work has been done. 1 crore worth of Manrega work has been done in a particular village. So since 1 crore worth of Manrega work has been done, so in addition to the wages paid to the workers, central government would give 75% of the total work. For example, here the central government would provide 75 lakh rupees to the state governments. Now the state governments can use that particular amount of money for the rural development, such as laying roads, maintaining electricity or irrigation projects. So all these things, the material component funds can be used by the state governments. And in fact, 25% of the material cost is borne by the respective state governments. So state government here will 75 lakh rupees will be given by the center, and remaining 25 lakh rupees will be borne by the respective state governments, and ultimately it has served as a social safety net, right? So Manrega program, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act program, ultimately served as a social safety net, right? So this is social safety net, especially during the economic rural distress, particularly droughts, pandemics or job losses in the informal sector. Manrega has acted as a social safety net. Next, so what are the benefits of Manrega program? So Manrega program provide a lot of benefits. For example, it would result in asset creation, women empowerment, migration of mitigation of seasonal shocks, upliftment of the marginalized sections of the society, such as women, because it provides 1/3 of the total beneficiaries are women. So it would result in the upliftment of the marginalized sections of the society, because it provides a kind of income security. It is a kind of a social safety net that is available for the people. And there will be a substantial decline in the poverty in rural areas as well, right? So people living standards of people can also be substantially improved through Manrega. And distress migration, particularly the rural urban migration, is considered as the distress migration. Now if we implement the Manrega program, it will result in preventing the distress migration from rural area to urban areas. And it would also generate adequate employment opportunities for the rural poor. So it creates community assets. What sort of a community assets it would particularly create? For example, creation of roads, drainage, irrigation and ponds, lakes, groundwater recharge. So ultimately it would create community resources, right? So it creates assets also. And woman empowerment as well, because a woman would become financially independent and self-sufficient as well. And it would also mitigate the seasonal shocks, because if we talk about the agricultural employment is mostly seasonal in nature. So here Manrega will help the rural poor to to escape the seasonal nature of the agricultural employment through the Manrega program, right? And apart from that, what are the other features of the Manrega program that we have already discussed? So it provides 100 days of wage employment per every household. So it ensures the work assurance, because if any rural adult household requested work from the authorities must provide work within 15 days. Otherwise, he will be entitled for the wage allowance. And it will be implemented by the local government. The Gram Panchayats will take the lead in the implementation of the Manrega program. So it empowers the marginalized sections, marginalized groups, and it also plays a very, very important role in overall reduction in poverty, lifting people out of the poverty. And it would also result in rural economic resilience, and it would also boost the rural demand as well. So these are the number of benefits that we have through the implementation of the Manrega program. So next important topic is about the Mulla Periyar Dam, and this Mulla Periyar Dam is a constant issue between the states of Kerala. So an issue between the states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So here we'll try to understand what is the issue of Mulla Periyar Dam between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So remember that this Mulla Periyar Dam is located in Kerala, but this Mulla Periyar Dam is owned by Tamil Nadu. It is managed by Tamil Nadu, maintained by Tamil Nadu, right? But the problem is that the Mulla Periyar Dam is an old dam, so therefore it has the safety concerns. For the state of Kerala, since it is an old dam and it is located in the state of Kerala. So in case if this dam is collapsed, so this will create a huge damage in most part of the Kerala. So on the other hand, Tamil Nadu would have no such concerns. But here, since the dam is owned by the Tamil Nadu state government, Tamil Nadu has been saying that there are no safety concerns, there is just a need for the repair of the dam. And that's why it is an issue of a constant conflict between both Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So I hope it is clear for you. Now understand that the Mulla Periyar Dam is a disputed dam between the state of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So the context is that recently Supreme Court stepped in to facilitate the cooperation between both Tamil Nadu and Kerala. right? So Supreme Court has decided to facilitate cooperation between the state of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, focusing on the need for urgent repair of this Mullaperiyar Dam and carrying out the safety works around the dam, so that because of the structural damages that the dam has been suffering would not result in the large scale destruction, or would not result in large scale havoc in case of the failure of the Mullaperiyar Dam. Now, what is this Mullaperiyar Dam dispute between Tamil Nadu and Kerala? So we'll try to understand this in a in-depth manner. Now understand that this was a British era dam because the Mullaperiyar Dam was built on 1895. It was built on 1895 and this was a British era dam. So in fact, the Mullaperiyar Dam was built on the Periyar River, right? So Periyar River is a west flowing river. So Periyar River is a west flowing river and it is also one of the most important and major rivers and a perennial river in the state of Kerala. So remember that this is the west flowing river in the state of Kerala. And this Periyar Dam is owned and operated by whom? This is owned and operated by Tamil Nadu state government, because this was actually based on a lease agreement that was signed in the year 1886 between the Travancore Kingdom and Madras Presidency during the British rule. So under the Travancore Kingdom and Madras Presidency, this Mullaperiyar Dam was built in the year 1895. There was an agreement that was signed between the Madras Presidency and Travancore Kingdom in 1886. So under this agreement, the dam is owned and operated by the Tamil Nadu state government. Now here, since the dam is located in the state of Kerala, right? So this is an old dam and this dam is also located in the state of Kerala. It serves Tamil Nadu by providing irrigation and drinking water, right? So it actually provides irrigation water, drinking water to the state of Tamil Nadu instead of the state of Kerala. So however, Kerala has been raising issues and concerns about the safety of the Mullaperiyar Dam, because remember that this is 125-year-old dam. This is one of the oldest dams in the world, because the Mullaperiyar Dam, the area where this dam is located, it is a seismically very sensitive area. This is also an old dam. So in case of any seismic activity, it would result in the collapse of the dam and that will create a large scale destruction in the state of Kerala, and that is why the state of Kerala has been regularly raising up this matter. However, Tamil Nadu, on the other hand, what was its stand? So Tamil Nadu's stand was, so it maintains that dam is structurally safe, right? So dam is structurally safe and there are no issues, no concerns with the dam. So why Tamil Nadu is saying that? Because the dam is not located in Tamil Nadu, rather it is located in the Kerala. And in fact, the dam is also significantly benefiting the state of Tamil Nadu by providing drinking water and also irrigation water. But Tamil Nadu state government just wanted that there is a need for essential repairs that have to be carried out for the Mullaperiyar Dam and its maintenance. But Kerala sometimes restricted access or raised environmental objections on the location of the dam or doing repairs for the 125-year-old Mullaperiyar Dam. However, this is considered as a long-standing long-standing interstate water dispute between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and in fact, it has also involved multiple cases filed by both states in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, some other details, interesting details with respect to the Periyar River, right? So when we talk about the Periyar River, so Periyar River is the longest river in the state of Kerala because its length is around 244 kilometers, right? So it is one of the longest rivers. So you can see this is how the Periyar River flows throughout the state, and it is one of the longest river in the state of Kerala. And in fact, the Periyar River is also considered as the lifeline of Kerala, right? So lifeline of Kerala, and it is also the perennial river, unlike most of the seasonal rivers in the southern part of India. And in fact, so we knew what is a perennial river. So perennial river is any river so that has a continuous flow of water throughout the year. So that is what is called as a perennial river, and here this particular Periyar river is a perennial river. Now Periyar river originates from Sivagiri hills of Western Ghats, right? So it originates somewhere near this particular place, Sivagiri hills of Western Ghats, and it flows through the Periyar National Park. This is very important for your prelims examination. So Periyar river flows through the Periyar National Park and it originates in Sivagiri hills of the Western Ghats. The main tributaries of the Periyar river including Mutirapuja, Mullayar, and Cherutoni and Perinjan Koti. So these are the major tributaries of the Periyar river, right? So I hope you have understood this topic. So next important topic is new zero FIR has been launched by the government. So we'll try to understand what exactly is new zero electronic zero FIR and how it will work. Now recently Ministry of Home Affairs has launched a new E0 FIR, right? So remember, this is not just zero FIR, but it is E0 FIR. E0 FIR, right? So what is a zero FIR? First, we need to understand this. So zero FIR is a first information report that can be filed in any police station across India. So irrespective of the crime that has took place. So therefore, zero FIR can be filed in any police station all across India, and that is known as zero FIR. Now, the electronic zero FIR. So we'll try to understand the definition of electronic zero FIR as well. But first, try to understand the context. The context is that because of a significant increase in the cyber crimes in India, right, in recent times there is a significant rise in number of financial frauds, cyber crimes in India. In order to speed up the investigations, the Ministry of Home Affairs has launched E0 FIR initiative under Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, this is also known as I4C. So initially, this E0 FIR has been launched as a pilot project in the national capital of Delhi, right? So it was launched under the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, which is also called as I4C. Now, E0 FIR initiative. So this E0 FIR is a digital mechanism, and this digital mechanism automatically register FIRs for cyber financial crimes such as online fraud, UPI scams, phishing, right? So in all these things would be dealt by the zero FIR, and these crimes are reported through the cybercrime helpline 1930 or registered through National Cybercrime Reporting Portal.gov.in. Now here we'll understand what are the key features of the E0 FIR. Now, in fact, it automatically registers or generates the first information reports because it converts the already verified complaints into the first information report automatically without having a need to visit a police station. For example, somebody have reported the online cybercrime or a financial fraud. So there is no need for them to directly go to the police station to register an FIR. So they can automatically register an FIR through the E0 FIR mechanism. And even there is no jurisdiction barrier also, there is no such barrier as well, because victims can report crimes from anywhere all across India. So FIR will be registered instantly and electronically, automatically, enabled by Section 173, Clause 1, Subclause 2 of the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita. and even it will be applicable for complaints which are involving a financial fraud of 10 lakh or a more amount of money, and there will be a real-time action that will be taken, such as it enables a quick blocking of fraudulent transactions and their accounts as well. And it will be considered as an integrated platform because it links banks, law enforcement agencies, telco companies, and certain for a very swift response. And similarly, it is part of the I4C, Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, and it is also part of a broader attempt or effort to implement national cybercrime ecosystem, thereby enhancing the tech-based policing. Now, there are certain initiatives, a proper framework that has been established to deal with the cybercrime in India. For example, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 has been brought in, and Defense Cyber Agency has been established. National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center has been established. Cyber Swachhata Kendras, Cyber Surakshit Bharat initiative has been launched to increase awareness about such potential cyber crimes. And Computer Emergency Response Team India, which is also called as CERT-IN, has been established. Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center I4C has been established, and there is also a national cyber security policy which is already in place, and all these initiatives, policies, part of India's cyber security framework. So I hope you have understood what is E0 FIR. So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much.